done all the hard work. Now we get to put it together and watch the go-kart come together. I have the back sub-assembly put together. It's called the subframe on your plans. If you're following along, it's like page 15. What we're going to do is we're going to weld this section together and then weld the front section together, and then we're going to put them together and finish it off. So I'm going to go over the subframe first, and I'm going to show you how I got to this position. Basically, all of your parts are part like this. This is your 2130. This is 21 inches long, so we want to get the center of it. This is going to be what we're going to get all of our dimensions off of. So measure 21 inches. Half of that is going to be 10.5 inches. So you're going to want to make a mark at 10.5 inches, like I've done here. Once you have that mark, these three pieces are going to line up in here. And the way I got these marks are they're 6 inches off of center. So you can line your tape up at 6 inches on the center mark and put a mark at 12 and a mark at the end of your tape measure on the end. So you want to mark at center, which is at 10.5 inches. And then from center you want to measure 6 inches both directions. And that'll give you your center marks for all three of these supports. Okay? Now we have the 1290s on the outside and the 14590 in the center. So if it helps you, you can also measure across your pieces and put a center mark on them as well, so you can line them up with your marks on the 2130. Once we have that done, you can line up the top pieces and just kind of put them in place. So this consists of a 2130, two 430s on the ends, as you can see back here, a 1290, a 14590, and another 1290. You have a 930 at the end, and two 430s to join everything together. To keep this straight and square, we're going to pull everything just a little bit apart so we have a little bit of space, and we're going to concentrate on these three pieces first. We know that this is straight, so we're going to go ahead and weld those up. We're going to weld those pieces up first, then we're going to weld these pieces in place so that we have a nice straight support system, and then we're going to put these end pieces in once we have the structure put together. And then welding on the two 430s on the end will complete the subframe for the basis of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to place the motor mount plate in between the 14590 and the 1290 and weld it into place. Then we have three weldments, two that we've bought and one that we've made. This is the disc brake bracket. We'll go over here. This is a bearing hanger. We'll weld onto this 1290, and this bearing hanger will weld onto this 1290. I'm going to go ahead and weld all this together. I just want to make sure that you knew the structure of the subframe and what order you should put it together in. This is not a welding instructional video, so if you're not comfortable with welding, you can take these parts that you've made to a welder and have them weld it. They can weld it for probably around $50 an hour, or maybe they'll charge you per job. But if you're not comfortable welding, have somebody else do it. If you want to learn, this might be a good time to learn. Maybe you have some extra metal you can practice on before you do it, or whatever. But we're going to go ahead and weld this together, so we're going to run through it, speed it up, so you can see how it's done. here's your basic subframe. It's all put together. There's a couple measurements I need to go over with you really quick. Bearing hangers go 1 inch from the back of your 1290, and your disc brake bracket will go 5 3/4 inches from your 2130. So if you measure from this piece here back, make a mark at 5 3/4, and weld your disc brake bracket, and make sure that your angle on the bracket is the same as your 1290. Just make it flush, weld it on the outside, the front corner being at 5 3/4 from your 2130. This is where your axle is going to be and your bearings, so you need to make sure these are straight. You can measure the distance from there to your 2130, from here to your 2130 to make sure those are the same measurements. You can also measure the back and the front of these to make sure they're the same with each other. So just try to make sure that all that gets welded in nice and true. So here's our subframe. We're ready to move on to the next.